Now at 6, all of us are dealing with snow. In some cases, it's several inches. Doug Hetty will break it all down for us. Plus, the latest on road conditions as accident reports climb around the area, and
road crews across the 4 states are working to clear the streets for drivers. I'm Samantha Walker, and I'll have more on their efforts coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
it's a mess out there. This is a look at Joplin, but it's much the same all across the 4 states. The snow, along with ice, has created hazardous road conditions and forced schools and businesses to close. This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Dow Quick. Just how bad is it out there, and what should we expect next? Well, let's go straight to Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty.
Yeah, we actually got some pretty good snow and sleet amounts. We had some thunder, snow, and sleet during the morning hours, about 6 to 7 a.m. Officially in Joplin, 2.5 inches. That puts us just shy of 11 inches for the season so far. Average is 12.5. Last year, just so you know, we had 7 inches of snow. Temperatures, they're cold, so any slush on the roadways obviously is going to refreeze now. The sun is going down and temperatures are going to go down for us tonight. It's 20 in Pittsburgh, 22 in Miami, 23 in Monette. Lamar is sitting at 20 degrees. We had a pretty heavy stripe of snow, especially right along that I-44 corridor. We had a little pocket of 3, 4, 5 inches. Most of us between 1 and 4 inches of snow throughout the morning hours for us today. And it didn't last long, but it pushed right on through. Now we're going to clear out, but we have more chances in the forecast. We're going to talk about that here in a bit.
See you soon. Roads across the 4 states are packed with snow, leading to multiple crashes all around the area. Still bad on some highways and worse on many side roads. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more.
Road conditions deteriorated early this morning.
Snowy roads across the 4-state area caused some hazardous road conditions.
Suddenly hitting a slick spot or a spot that starts to refreeze with the temperature starting, as temperatures start to drop.
And Cherokee County is no different. Cherokee County Sheriff's Department responded to 6 accidents, although Sheriff Brian Henderson says there's evidence that there may have been more accidents in Cherokee County.
One injury crash that resulted in a occupant vehicle being transported to the hospital.
The head-on crash that took place on Highway 69 in Cherokee County sent 2 people to the hospital. Other areas in southeast Kansas also dealt with the difficult road conditions. Crawford County responded to about 17 accidents, and Bourbon County dealt with about 4 slide-offs. Sheriff Brian Henderson says it's best to stay off the roads if you can.
And they slide off or they leave the roadway, they're putting others in danger because somebody has to respond to that crash. And then as we're responding, other vehicles are yielding to us. And sometimes, for example, tractor trailers, if they stop on a hill, they can't get going again because they can't get the traction.
And in Missouri, there was a rollover crash on Rangeline near River Road. One woman suffered non-life-threatening injuries. In Jasper County, there were a few cars that slid off the road as well. Sheriff Brian Henderson says if you do have to travel, it's best to have a safety kit in case an emergency takes place.
Safety plan in place of making sure they do have some blankets and water and things, that secure safety kit with them at all times.
I'm Melissa Alexis reporting.
The Cherokee County Sheriff Brian Henderson says if you do have to travel in the snow, it's best to leave early so you have extra time to drive slowly. Crews with the Department of Transportation in Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma say they've been working nonstop to at least try and treat those roadways, stay ahead of the storm. Area cities say they also have crews working to plow and salt major roads in town. KOAM Samantha Walker has more on their efforts to help keep drivers safe.
Workers have been on the road since the latest round of winter weather started to try and get as much snow and ice cleared as possible. MoDOT prepared 1,500 trucks for across the state. KDOT has 24 snowplows in southeast Kansas, and there are 6 trucks working in Ottawa and Delaware counties, provided by ODOT. Those departments say they're ready to put in long hours.
We have most of our roads are still completely covered with snow and ice. We had a little bit of ice come in before the snow, so it is treacherous, and we would advise people to delay travel. Our crews are out working 24/7, and we are covering all the highways.
Now, cities tell me they focus on clearing the major roads that they know the biggest number of people are going to be driving on, such as Rangeline and 7th Street behind me. The city of Joplin says they divide their workers up into 4 different areas to try to get the most amount of streets cleared as possible. It's a goal shared by cities across the 4 states. The crews with the city of Miami got started before 5 a.m.
We immediately started spreading some salt and sand mix to help melt some of the snow and ice to make the intersections less slick. And then about 6 o'clock, I had a couple more guys come in and get in a second truck.
Both city and state crews warn there are still lots of slick spots, even in plowed areas.
Plan for a possibility of sliding at the intersections, or, plan ahead, watch your cars, and just pay attention to other traffic.
If you have to drive and go out on the roads, there are ways you can check road conditions without leaving the comfort of home. With just a few clicks, you can find live road maps from KDOT, MoDOT, and ODOT, giving drivers real-time reports of what the roads look like.
We're out until we get done. So that's really, and I would just encourage people to, stay safe and stay in and monitor conditions.
Reporting, I'm Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Road crews for both the cities and highways ask that drivers do not try to pass them when they're working on clearing the roads. They say they're out there because it's slick, so trying to pass isn't safe. We're going to keep this real simple for you. You can get the latest road conditions and power outages across the area anytime through this QR code. It'll direct you to those links on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com, for information for each of the 4 states in our viewing area. Even if the worst of the weather has passed, some schools like Commerce, Oklahoma, and Pittsburgh schools have already announced school will be closed again tomorrow. To stay up on all of the latest school, government, and church closings, just scan this QR code and go straight to the closings page of our website. You can leave information about closings there as well. Pitt State women's basketball team continues to climb in the rankings. John Dales has details on the latest coaches poll coming up later in sport.
Experts say it's a good idea to have your car completely cleared before taking off. I'm Lonnie Walton. I'll have that story.
As you go out to your car, you might find it covered in snow and ice. For the safety of others and yourself, local experts want to remind drivers to clear off all parts of their vehicles before they hit the road. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has the story.
A few years ago, we were coming through Iowa, and there was a snowplow on the road, but the lights on the back of the snowplow was covered with snow.
Mike Gideon is the owner of Gideon Auto and Tire in Joplin. He says he once encountered a vehicle he could barely see because his taillights were covered in snow.
To come up on a vehicle going significantly slower without being able to see him was a problem.
Now, while Gideon is worried about those taillights, AAA spokesperson Nick Shabaria says the top of the car is also important.
Any snow or ice left on a vehicle, on the roof, for example, that's going to become dislodged, and it can become dislodged while you're driving.
Shabaria says these chunks of ice carry a heavy punch.
Those chunks of ice coming off your vehicle can have the same force as bricks being thrown from your vehicle.
Shabaria and Gideon both understand it's freezing outside, but some things need a little more attention.
Make sure you're clearing off all the snow and ice from your vehicle, paying particular attention to the hood and the roof, especially if you have an SUV or a vehicle that has a roof rack.
Down the road, the snow on the hood will blow up onto the windshield, so you need to at least clear the front of the car. Obviously, you want to make sure all the windows are clear, your mirrors are clear, and that the lights on the car are clear.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Gideon says one of the places he sees people forget is those taillights and the brake lights. He says the more you clear off, the better. A little bit later, some good news for drivers in Joplin. We'll explain.
Plus, it's going to be a cold night for us tonight, and wintry weather still in the forecast. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, of course, a nasty day outside for us today. The snow, the sleet across the region between 6 and about 7:30 in the morning. We had pretty good thunder snow and thunder sleet across the region, something we don't see that often, so well, at least for a meteorologist, it was cool to see. Obviously, we got a little bit of ice on our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam, looking at downtown Joplin. All right, temperatures, they're going to drop back. We're going to fall through the teens. most of us down into upper single digits later on tonight. It's 20 in Nevada, 23 in Neosho, Jay at 24, 20 in Parsons, 18 in Yates Center, so temperatures going the wrong direction. Here's 7th and Rangeline. Traffic, at least on the major arteries, rolling pretty good. 21, but it feels like 10, and that's due to a northwesterly wind where we're getting some gusts near 20 miles per hour, so that's going to drive down those wind chill factors a little bit for us later on tonight. All right, this whole storm system rotating out of here. All of our snow now, parts of Illinois and Indiana, racing away from us. Here's our next storm system off the coast of California. This system will start to affect us as we head into the weekend, but we got to dry out a bit as we go through the next couple days. All right, let me take you through time. Clouds break, but look at our temps. By morning, 10 in Nevada, 12 in Chautauqua, 5 in Yates Center, Grove down to 12, Pineville down to about 14 degrees. By noon, we'll get into lower 20s. By the afternoon, I think most of us 27, 28, 29 degrees. Now, we are going to be below freezing, but with the sun and the sun's energy, we're still going to melt some snow for us tomorrow afternoon, which is good. It will be nice to get those side roads cleared up. All right, by Friday morning, clouds roll in. Here comes a warm front. So not as cold tomorrow night. We are going to have a lot of clouds on Friday, but check out the temperatures. We soar into the mid-40s for afternoon highs, which is going to be nice to see. All right, day planner, 12 to start, 23 by noon. High temp right around 28 degrees. All right, here's our upper level flow. So we're looking for storm energy and we're watching the cold temperatures. Anything below 40. So this cold air will start to retreat with that warm front on Friday. And then it's going to surge back in as we head into the second half of the weekend. It will retreat a little bit on Monday, and then it will surge back south again by next Tuesday and Wednesday. So overall, over the next week, temperatures are going to stay below average. All right, let's go into our next storm system. Here's Saturday. Rain chances increasing, especially during the afternoon hours. Colder air will filter in, and we could get a little band of snow on the backside. So we'll have to watch that as we go through the next couple days. Sunday's going to be cold. Monday, we warm back up. And then by Tuesday, we'll have another chance to get some snow into the region. So a lot to watch as we go through the next week. All right, let's go 28 tomorrow, but 46 on Friday, 50 and dropping Saturday, only 30 on Sunday, back to 46, back to 35 on Tuesday. And of course, if you are going to be out tonight or into the morning hours, be very careful on the roadways.
Yeah, because presumably a lot of those roads will thaw underneath the chemicals, but then they're going to refreeze tonight. Thanks, Doug. Hey, the nomination round is over. Now it's time to officially vote for who you think is the 4 states' finest. Choose from 5 categories: eating and drinking, arts and entertainment, health and fitness, services, and shopping for businesses across the 4 states. Scan this QR code or head over to koamnewsnow.com/finest to cast your votes. But don't wait, because the voting ends February 19th. Still ahead, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce addresses his future in Kansas City. And Pitt State women's basketball is in the top 5 for the first time in 8 years. John Dales has those stories and more up next in sports.
Hey, welcome into sports. I'm John Dales. Pittsburgh State basketball has the day off. Tomorrow evening, both Gorilla teams face Missouri Western up in St. Joseph, and the women's game will be a battle of a couple of the top teams in the MIAA. While the Gorillas have had some time off, the WBCA coaches poll is released. Pitt State moves up to the number 5 spot in the nation. That's the highest ranking the PSU has had since 2017. And it comes while Amanda David's team is in the midst of a 12-game winning streak. Yet, even though the Gorillas are undefeated in conference play, if the regular season were to end right now, they would not be the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. Well, here's why. This week, we get a look at the first MIAA KPI standings of the year. Instead of wins and losses, this metric, KPI, will be used to determine the seeding for the MIAA tournament next month. So despite being the only undefeated team in conference play, Pitt State actually ranks 3rd. The Gorillas play Missouri Western tomorrow, who's first, Missouri Southern is 8th. Only the top 10 teams will make the tournament. Here's a look at the KPI standings on the men's side. Pittsburg State ranks 3rd. They are 2nd in the traditional standings. Missouri Southern is 11th, which means if the regular season were to finish today, the Lions actually would not be able to participate in the MIAA tournament. These KPI standings will be updated and published twice more, once on February 17th and February 24th. Switching gears to pro basketball, the Oklahoma City Thunder are at home tonight. They've won 24 of their 27 games in OKC so far this year. That mark is the best in the league. This evening, the Miami Heat come to town. The Thunder are in 1st place in the West. The Heat are in 7th place in the East. They just traded away their star, Jimmy Butler, last week. Tonight's game tips off at 7 p.m. at Paycom Center. And on the heels of Sunday's loss to the Eagles in the Super Bowl, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce and his brother Jason release an episode of their podcast this morning where Travis speaks on the possibility of retirement.
I know everybody wants to know whether or not I'm playing next year, and right now I'm just kicking everything down the road. I'm kicking every can I can down the road, and I'm not making any crazy decisions, but right now the biggest thing is just being there for my teammates and being there for my coaches, understanding, that there's a lot that goes into this thing. I've been fortunate over the past 5-6 years. I've played more football than anybody.
Yeah.
And it's because the people that are in that building and the fact that we keep going to these AFC championships and these Super Bowls. And that means I'm playing an extra 3 games more than everybody else in the entire league. And that's a lot of wear and tear on your body. And it's a lot of time spent in the building.
I think it's interesting what Travis said at the end there is you don't really consider the fact that these long playoff runs, it does take a toll on the players' bodies.
Yeah, 7 consecutive years, at least to the AFC Championship. That adds up to the equivalent of an extra season.
Yeah.
Really. We'll be right back. Here's a look at what's coming up on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. A Missouri lawmaker is pushing to change access to telemedicine in an effort to help combat the rising opioid epidemic. Plus, looking for love ahead of Valentine's Day, we're going to look at the impact of AI on dating apps. We take you on a ride-along with a snowplow driver. Those stories, a lot more, it's coming up tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. We do have some good road news for you today. The city of Joplin announces St. Louis Avenue near 9th Street will reopen. They say there'll be full access along this main corridor. Work in this area will now shift to the east as stormwater work progresses on South Connecticut Avenue. Drivers might want to find a detour from East Campbell Parkway to East 8th Street. Weather permitting, the work should be completed in early March. My guess is the short term, at least, weather is not permitting because it's pretty nasty out there.
That is true. And still a lot of slick roads out there, and temperatures are going to drop back to about 9 or 10 by morning. Only 28 tomorrow, back to 46 on Friday. Some rain and snow chances by the weekend.
Final sports notes.
I want to give a shout out to Carthage Tiger Lexi Youngblood. She signed with the University of Central Missouri for track and field this week.
Good for her and good for Central Missouri. We're going to leave you tonight with some drone video from over Carthage. Of course, we're going to see you right back here for KOAM News at 10. Please do be careful out there and let's make it a great evening.